All right, 15 after 5. Let's hit the books here, part of the Hammer Betting Network. You guys know the drill by now. Before we talk about the biggest games of the upcoming college football weekend, I am alongside the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Joey Knish, and producer extraordinaire, Zach Phillips. Guys, let's pay the bills first before we get to all your chat questions. I know you guys have locked and loaded here the last 15 minutes, waiting for old Knish to show up. Joking.
It was hiding out in a tent for a little bit. I had to get out of the tent and before I could come on the show today. So I had to pay my own bills a little bit.
Appreciate it. I too was following along with those. Whatever was happening in the tent there. BetStamp. This show is brought to you by BetStamp. The easiest way to improve as a sports bettor is to use multiple sports books, and always getting the best odds. We recommend using an odds comparison tool like BetStamp. BetStamp compares odds across every sportsbook for games, futures, and player props. You can save time and money by checking BetStamp before you bet. Download the app today. If you're looking to sign up for a new sportsbook account, please check out the offers available at betstamp.app/hitthebooks, or you can hit the link in the description. If you sign up through this page, it helps support the show. Knish, glad you came out of the tent. Good to see you, buddy. You ready to fire away at what looks like a pretty decent card as far as college football? Unfortunately, no surprise, we lost another midweek best bet. Sam Houston didn't show up in the first half against New Mexico State, so that drop sold record, not good. Just put it that way.
No, I mean that was one that I couldn't believe they got down to 27-0 in this game. I mean, the revamped Sammy Houston offense did not look good. What game that I thought that at least, that would be competitive. Kind of a shocker for me of how that one played out. Not nothing fluky in the butt. New Mexico able to drive it up and down on their deep. Diego Pavia looking good. So yeah, that was one. Again, closed okay there, but no, the way it played out, it was a no doubt New Mexico cover. I don't know. I got to look at the standings. Does that keep our Aggies futures alive in the CUSA, baby? So maybe I'm trying to look at glass half full there. And the other one, Dana, you thought the man was dead. They were getting the buyout money literally together for him just to get him out of town. And he hits a Hail Mary to get, which also cost me the middle in that game. For just
the middle.
Yeah, a little stab in the heart. I was very happy with the result before that Hail Mary. So yeah, that was a kind of a wild night of Thursday night football, and got another card ripping and ready to go tonight.
I can't believe you didn't mention this. You got one on me on that Liberty Jacksonville State game.
I set a little hook on Liberty, baby, with Salter looking good. Rich Rod, I just don't know what the man does at quarterback for I feel like this was the downfall of his career. For a guy that was so innovative, he just cannot, it's like he gets so angry with one quarter. I'm going to the backup. And this guy, no, I'm going to the third string. It's like, hey, we're going to play all three. And then it's like, I don't know. I just don't think he's ever gotten over the way to properly manage quarterbacks, at least since he's, in the last, 5 years of his career. So yeah, that's one that I don't know. It's hard to trust a Jacksonville State team when they're going up against a quality opponent with whatever you're getting out of the coaching staff.
Yeah, Liberty wore them down late. I felt okay early in the game, but Liberty went on that 16-play, 89-yard drive, took up 10 minutes. Really wore on them. Liberty looks good, man. Jamie Chadwell is a good coach. to say the least.
We got listeners of all ages, baby. Those are the most popular show in college football. So 3 months to, if Fez is here, however old he is, 65 or whatever Fez is going on now. So, hey, it's a show for all ages, baby.
Love it. Let's get into it then. RW fan in the chat. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thoughts on next week's look aheads? He says, forget this week. Let's look ahead to next week. Bama -9 against Tennessee, Penn State +5 against Ohio State, Michigan State +24.5 against Michigan. Do you like anything there? Nothing really is standing out to me. I want to bet Penn State, Ohio State under. Would be my gut there. Let's see what Tennessee does against A&M. That's a big data point for Tennessee this week because, I mean, they don't have a lot of data points that you can really trust. Michigan State would probably be the lean there, +24.5. Just because, I mean, it's tough laying that kind of number with Michigan.
Yeah, I don't have any. I think of that list, obviously, most of them are, reasonably fair. They're kind of, posting some of the bigger games. Penn State would be the one that I think you've got the opportunity this week where we know some sharp people are on the Purdue side. If Ohio State has another kind of competitive, this can go both ways, but you basically know that Penn State has a complete walkover this week.
Yeah.
In a game that, even if they're not up to, par or sleepwalking, they'll probably win by 30 points. Where Ohio State, you could get another data point where, I don't know, if they look, subpar again, or Purdue, plays a little bit of spoiler here, trying to be a competitive game. That's a line that I think, without injury, can probably only go one way. And that would be coming down and it's a whole line that maybe, gets to around 4 on game week if Ohio State looks subpar again.
Yeah, my only concern, I got to see that. I mean, I know James Franklin got after that reporter, but I thought the reporter had a legitimate question. I mean, Penn State, when you look at their downfield, lack thereof, it's anemic to say the least. So we'll be interesting. Got a lot of good games next week. Got a lot of good games this week. In fact, we got a good game tonight. Onion Man in the chat, Tulane, Memphis. Thoughts on that one? I think the sharper play is Tulane. We've seen the money come their way. I'm not a part of it, though. I'm just going to sit back and watch. I'm going to root for Tulane, but what do you got in that one?
You know what? I played some Tulane early. Numbers gotten away now. This would be another one. I usually, we talk occasionally, when it's a standalone game, the 7:00 game. If you miss the Tulane number, instead of jumping on, now, I'd wait and look for something live. If you can get Memphis can get out for a score, you get a better Tulane price. Be a back and forth type of game, unless they steamroll them from the jump. You can kind of trade that one. So I wouldn't chase the number now, but yeah, Tulane would be the only side I'd be looking for here.
Brian asked, what about first half Tulane -2.5? Maybe, because I'll be honest with you, one of the reasons I'm guessing, I'm not one of the groups that hit Tulane here, but I'm guessing one of the reasons why Tulane was hit because they think they have a significant coaching edge, and they do with Fritz over Silverfield. So there's a possibility that they get off to a good start. So I'd lean that way. Well, what say you?
Yep, that would be my lean as well. And you know what? If you like the Tulane side, you play some first half. If it doesn't go well, you play some second half or play some. I mean, if that's you want the Tulane position. But again, that would be the only side I'd want in this game to back Memphis in this one. I'd need closer to a touchdown.
Thomas has a unique question in the chat. Over under 27.5 offensive points in Wisconsin, Iowa. Let me ask you this on that one. Does that include point after attempts on touchdowns, offensive touchdowns?
I know.
Think so.
I think I would think so too.
I'm going to go under. I think that if you like the over, and I've kind of talked this, and if you like the over, it's mainly because you think there's going to be a defense or special teams touchdown in the game, which I think is the case. But I would go under on the offensive side of points, but nothing big for me.
Yeah, I mean, I could see Iowa with 0, to be honest with you. It's a game. This took some, I don't know. Listen, the totals come down. So in some correlation, people hit the spread. I still like Wisconsin under 10, to be honest with you. There were, I thought for a very minute when it was steaming, we might get close enough to play a juice 7. I was watching it like a hawk. Never got there. But I've bought in a couple prices under 10. Listen, the weather, all that, yada, yada. I don't think I was going to be able to do anything in this game, period. And I've been waiting for a good fade spot of Iowa. Wisconsin's offense hasn't been electric by any means. It hasn't been the offense that we thought it, could be, or they wanted it to be going into the year. I still think it can give more than enough cushion to cover this number. So it is Wisconsin for nothing or nothing for me in this one.
Best bet material?
If you're with it under 10, and I know laying 10 points in a total of 34, but to me this has got 21-3 type of even if it goes under, I still think they're going to cover the 10 here.
We'll come back to it.
All right.
Possibility. I laid 7.5. I mean, obviously, the key numbers of 8 or 9, but when you do have suppressed scoring, those non-key numbers become slightly more important.
Sure.
We'll come back to that one, guys, in the chat as far as a possible best bet. Austin in the chat, any thoughts on Syracuse, Florida State? Somebody inside the tent had some thoughts on it about 15 minutes ago. As far as this, I'll talk side. You can talk the total. I think Florida State's a sharper side. You don't believe me? Go ask the Syracuse coach, Dino Babers, talking about his team running out of gas. Looks that way the last couple of weeks, and Florida State's not the third team I'd want to face after facing Clemson, North Carolina, and now Florida State. I think Florida State wins via blowout. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it there. I mean, this Syracuse season is like a Groundhog's Day effect for the last few years. They come out, they blow out a few peasants by 80 points. They're saying, "Oh, this could be the year they're contending ACC," and the wheels fall off here. When the coach is midweek talking about depth issues, and Dino Baber is not a guy that I think is one that to look for sympathy or to make excuses.
No.
I just think they're down a lot of players. They're in the midst of a brutal stretch here. Yeah, it would be. I know, but if you want to look at glass half full take on Syracuse, it's maybe Schrader's a bit healthier. But I mean, you saw them last week against North Carolina get basically shut down to nothing. You're going to have a lot better effort to stay with Florida State. So yeah, I know our buddy the Tent played the under there. So that's one that's kind of a number that's steamed down. So at where it's at current, it would be. I don't really have much, but yeah, it could be. I would be Florida State or nothing for me in this one. I just don't know if Syracuse has anything left in the tank here to keep this close.
Agree. Nicholas in the chat, thoughts on Georgia Southern +6? I'm in a no play situation at that number. I bet JMU earlier this week.
6 would be. I didn't buy it yet. I've kind of was waiting to see if it can even eke out a little bit more. It's the side I was looking for, but I haven't bought it yet. I'll probably have a smaller play on it pregame if I can get if it goes up a little bit more, then a little bit larger. But from where it's at now, I'm just kind of sitting there waiting.
Good game. Georgia Southern can really take control of the East with a win there because JMU's obviously they can't qualify for the Sun Belt championship game, even though they're arguably been the best team in the conference the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Sad. Nash in the chat. Any thoughts on Virginia Tech now that there's word of a flu bug hitting Wake's locker room? I'm not there yet. I was honestly watching Wake's game against Clemson. I was pretty damn impressed. I thought they played Clemson really tough. I'm not buying this. I know the market loves Virginia Tech the last few weeks. I'm not there on them.
No, me neither. And you know what? That's one of those things that it's so tough to quantify, when you the words getting around about a flu bug or, COVID and that, who's affected, how bad are they affected? It's one of those, if you place the bet, you can convince yourself that you're a genius. The team was, 30 guys were that. Or, everybody gets flus before the game and then they win. So it's one of those things without, more concrete information that's it's pretty hard to quantify. And I don't like, if you have a quarterback injury or something, that's much more, easy to quantify. A flu bug in the locker room, you don't know what's going on there. So I agree. I'm not really on the VT, market steam either. So that's one, to be honest with you, I've stayed completely away from.
Haven't bet it yet. Charles in the chat, Marshall, Georgia State thoughts. I bet Marshall early in the week. I'm a little worried because I think they gave out a pretty good effort against NC State last week. How much do you have left in the tank? They played a couple of ACC opponents in recent weeks. Georgia State's fresh off a bye. But, I mean, my power rankings say Marshall should be the team favorite. Did you play this one yet? Not much movement in the market here.
No, not much movement in the market. Small lean. I was this is another one kind of similar to the Georgia Southern where was kind of waiting to see where it went. Probably end up on a small play on Georgia State here. You do it a number, spot factors here. Marshall coming off that. I like the matchup a little bit for Georgia State's offense. But again, as you said, I think, the number is thin. So one that kind of wait until post tomorrow to see what I can eke out of it.
Yeah, I think Georgia State's running back will hit some explosives in this game. Watching Marshall's defense the last couple of weeks, I mean, they've given up a lot of explosives. So then check out for that. Might be a bad matchup for Marshall on hindsight. Chris in the chat, Ohio under a touchdown. Good. Why is money coming in on Northern Illinois? Maybe a couple reasons. This is theory, but number one, a lot of suppressed scoring in these MAC games. So we've seen quite a few MAC dogs get some money this week. Well, I mean, if the scoring is going to be down 15%, who's the team doing most of the scoring? Well, the favorite. So you got to have some pressure a little bit on the line. But I also think Northern Illinois, maybe the buy signs come on. They competed very well against Toledo a couple weeks ago. Absolutely hammered Akron last week. I know Akron had a backup quarterback, so might be a little bit of that as well. But with that all being said, I lean Ohio.
Yeah, this is another one that, I think Cirque opened this like 57.5 when it was up there, and just has gotten nailed all the way down here. I know some weather for it. I will say, in terms of playing the expectation, Ohio has been a little disappointing. I think their defense has played better. The offense, in terms of getting margin, hasn't been as rhythm. I thought, they could be potentially the best offense in the MAC by a wide margin. With where hasn't been as electric as I thought it was, and Northern Illinois played a little bit above expected. With that said, I agree with you. Now, at the current price, it would be pretty much Ohio or nothing for me, but not a game that I've taken part in as of yet.
Charles in the chat, what do you guys have in the battle for the Fremont Cannon? The market likes Nevada here. I don't disagree. I was hoping to see a little bit more 10s to show up, but tough, going against tough backing a Nevada team hasn't won yet. And tough fading a UNLV team that hasn't failed to cover a point spread yet. With that being said, sometimes UNLV, a big rivalry, not used to laying this kind of number in this game. Almost lost outright last year as a big favorite in the rivalry, although that was under a different coaching staff. I played over, nothing wild here, but really haven't gotten involved on the side. Are you part of this Wolfpack late week money?
No, so this is another one that I was going to say, are they going to have you and Fez firing the ceremonial Fremont Cannon to start this off, baby? Get us, are you going to this bad one? I know we're a
Reno. People don't understand the geography of Nevada. Reno's like an 8-hour drive. Do you know that? That's how big Nevada is.
Yeah.
Like we are at the very tip of the state. They're way up north.
There's been some bets that this is way out of bounds, but some bets that I've tried to get down in Reno, and it's a challenge to get somebody. I've tried to. If anybody in the chat wants to go live in Reno and run for Joey K, I'd be more than interested because there's some good stuff there, but it is not exactly around the corner from like anywhere on earth. So in terms of the game, though, no, I was not part of the Nevada team. Would probably be a UNLV lean for me if any more money comes in. Kind of with you there, lean to the under, but again, not one that I've taken part in yet.
Yeah, I think simple. Lay 7, take 10 is where I'm at in this game. Yeah. That's why I haven't bet it yet. Should be an interesting one. I do like it. I like football rivalries. I have touched and taken a picture with the Fremont Cannon. It's kind of cool. It's heavy. It's the heaviest trophy in college football. It's like huge. I mean, so we'll see. It's painted red. I think it stays painted red. I'll put it that way. We still love USC. Derek in the chat. I do. I don't think anybody else does, but that's fine with me. I still love USC. Better coach, better quarterback. I don't know. I don't think the weather's going to be that. Everyone's saying now the weather. Check the hourly forecast. I don't think the weather's going to be that bad. So what say you here? What are you hearing? I'm hearing there's more Notre Dame money going to show here. So I'm not going wild on SC right now because I think I'm going to get a flat 3.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we played some look ahead 3s. Listen, it'd be the only. I said this when I was on another show during the week. Unless the weather is absolutely like in a complete downpour, a mashup. That's the only way I can see here where we're getting to 3 in this number. And as you said, I don't think in terms of the actual game time, it's going to be that bad. A little wet. I mean, the winds, 10 to 15 mile per hour in that range. Not something that is, absolutely. I would need much more than that in terms of, thinking that it's going to be, Hurricane, Katrina here in the of like. To me, It's clear enough for me to think that USC will be fine on offense. And 3 is the only side I would play there. So, yeah, maybe Notre Dame leans on them and all that, but I don't see it. I can't get to a field goal here.
Agree. Steve in the chat, what do we think of Rutgers? I respect the money that's on Michigan State. I bet Rutgers early in the week. Again, numbers matter, but I could only play Michigan State right now. You're close in that neck of the woods. I've heard some good things as far as, maybe the bye week might have helped them. Maybe they figured some things out. You had to like what you saw for a majority of the Iowa game. What say you? What are you hearing there close to home there in East Lansing?
Yeah, that would be the lean. This is a tough one because obviously Rutgers is extremely improved, best team they've had in a long time. They seem to be putting in consistent efforts throughout, but not a passing game that I love laying margin against. It'll be interesting. I know, as you said, that Michigan State is going to, I think they try to change up a few things. So maybe give some different looks here, try and maybe offensive identity. Will any of that work? I don't know. But I'll tell you what wasn't working, what they were doing. So we'll see if they come out and, can kind of, I don't exactly know. I would guess with Mark D'Antonio more, a little bit involved, that they're going to try to go back to some of that power, ugly it up, play action, especially because Noah Kim's been turning the football over at such a ridiculous rate. That they play a little bit more safe would lean me to kind of an underplay in this game. I think it could be a pretty ugly both sides, a lot of punting. But that would be the only lean. I don't, where the side's at now, I don't have anything. Under would be the only lean for me where it's at current.
Even at what, 39.5? My goodness. It does kind of scream 20-17 type of game. So with the money coming in on the under, I think you got to look dog first with such a suppressed total there.
No, that's fair.
I have an announcement to make, believe it or not. We need more likes on this live stream right now.
Oh, baby.
I appreciate you guys waiting the 15 minutes, and I apologize to you guys that we're 15 minutes late, but I need you to do me a favor, and most importantly, Zach Phillips a favor, and hit the like button as you're watching this. And we'll get to some best bets here, I promise. Cam Kelly in the chat, Oregon State. Ooh, this might be one. Oregon State -3.5. I'm gonna let you go because I got some thoughts.
This is I know some real sharp action on UCLA this week. I know the numbers come down a bit, but I think UCLA matches up really well with this Oregon State team. Now, DJU did have a really nice effort. Probably his best game ever last time out in terms of throwing the ball. But it's a UCLA front seven that is pretty dynamic. It's a lot of NFL talent. The game in Wazoo where they probably should have won by 30 was more of a sweat than it had to be. Dante Moore has been a little up and down. It hasn't been the absolute electric season that I thought he could have had, but the offense is good enough. I think this is a close game. It would be UCLA or nothing for me.
No best bet, guys. I like Oregon State, so we need to have consensus here. I don't like Dante Moore in the road start. I don't like what I'm seeing from him. I thought they won in spite of him last week. So
that's fair.
I think defensively, certainly UCLA has improved, and then they might even be good. I just don't think they faced a balanced offense yet. Utah couldn't throw. Washington State couldn't run. Oregon State can do both. Now, what DJU are we getting? The guy that struggled a little bit against San Diego State, had that little bit of slump there for a couple games, or are we getting DJU from last week? We're getting DJU from last week. This spread's light. Let's keep it going, though. No best bet there. Nicholas in the chat, still interested in Kansas State +2. We did talk about liking them on Monday. What are you hearing on that one? Didn't we get an order on that one, total wise?
That was one that total was underplay there. I lean that way.
It was the other Kansas. What was the other one? I'm getting that. Man, them two Kansas games are confusing me this week because they're back to back in the rotation.
I still like the Kansas State side here. I know Texas Tech has had a couple good efforts there and a couple good results with Morton as a quarterback. I still think he's a downgrade. And listen, Will Howard, he just had a real bad effort. A guy who came into the season and was looking, fantastic. I'll give him a pass. I think it was a bad game. I think it was kind of an outlier result. I like Kansas State here as a dog, and it's something that I've been not something I've gone crazy on, but especially now they've crossed over. Yeah, I'm in on Kansas State. If you'd like that,
there we go, guys.
Yep.
I'm sorry you had to wait 40 minutes after the hour, but there's your best bet. I like Kansas State. I just do. I think it's a bounce back spot. Buy low, backs against the wall. Not buying Texas Tech. I mean, yeah, they went out and beat up Baylor. Big deal.
I mean, you look at the two games here, and you look at our Houston, the opponent last night, and then Baylor. I mean, it's hard not to say that those aren't the two worst teams in the Big 12. Yeah. Baylor maybe by significantly. So I'm not told. I mean, this is a big step up in class here for Morton and what they faced here. And again, Kansas State. I would say I'm going to give Gundy some props there, and Alan Bowman, kind of the game plan they had. I just think it was an off game for Howard in general. Turned the ball over a bunch of times. Game was still pretty close down the wires. So, yeah, I think Kansas State gets right here.
Love it. Best bet, Kansas State. Drunk Driver in the chat. Thoughts on Navy? Charlotte, does Biff have the talent on defense? Stop the triple option. Market thinks so. I agree with it. Maybe not the current number. I think anything above 3, Charlotte's a decent bet at 3. Sounds about right. But I do think he's got the talent up front and the defensive line to stop Navy. And then also, more importantly, had a bye week to prep for it. So if you're in New Jersey at Sport Trade, go ahead and bet that plus 3.5 at -113.
Yeah, that'd be the only. I mean, Charlotte did bring in a lot of portal talent in the front. Now, that doesn't always translate to, being able to stop some elements of the triple. And again, Navy doesn't run your traditional triple anymore. But yeah, that was one. Obviously, getting the hook there is crucial. So if you got some access, to that'd probably be the only side. 3 just seems about right to me. Charlotte's they haven't really gotten a lot of answers on offense for most of the season. But again, not a team that Navy I want to lay margin against. And Biff here, we'll see. I kind of trust their defensive front, defensive staff to have a good effort out there. So yeah, if you got access to a 3.5 smaller play at 3, seems about for right.
Thomas Lynch in the chat, Cincy -5. Yeah, I'm on the Cincy side. I mean, the weather looks like it could be an issue. We've seen the total come down all week. I mean, I was on Cincy very early in the week, but I just think off the bye, nice reset for them. Maybe they can figure out some of their red zone issues. I just think this line is 6 if they put a couple scores in the red zone, a couple touchdowns instead of field goals, because statistically they were the much better team against Miami, Ohio. They hung in there big time with Oklahoma. Statistically far superior to BYU. It's just, they haven't got the final score hasn't matched the box score. So I like Cincy quite a bit here.
Yeah, that'd be the only side I'd be interested in. Again, number played a bit earlier there, but even now at the 5.5, be the only side I'd be interested in. I'm really down. I know some people in the chat on Monday's show were a little bit, they wanted to chirp back at that Iowa State's improved. They're getting some guys on defense, but I really haven't seen it, to be honest with you. I'm not sure what Iowa State really does well on either side of the ball, to be honest with you. And they're a team that, I've backed in a few instances there. But yeah, the clones to me are in, kind of a tough spot here. Maybe the defense steps up and can have a better effort. But they've been pretty porous to me, and a team that I've been keenly focused on the last few weeks. I just don't see it. So yeah, it'd be Cincinnati on my side.
First trip to Ohio this year didn't go too well, losing outright to the Bobcats. Yeah. Bearcats a little bit better than the Bobcats. Mickey in the chat, BYU, TCU thoughts? I can't play it, to be honest with you. Honestly, BYU's a team I want to fade. TCU with a backup quarterback, I can't get to the window on the side. Bet the under is what I bet.
Yeah, I liked. I honestly, 7 was my buy price. I don't think it'll get there. It'd be a smaller play for me at 6. I really am not a big fan of the TCU. I mean, I wasn't a fan of TCU Chandler Morris to begin with. Now a guy that had no shot to beat out Chandler Morris. They tried Chandler Morris last year, so maybe Sonny Dykes just doesn't know how to evaluate quarterback play. But yeah, this is one, and I'm not a BYU stan at all, but it's some 6 for me. If I can get a little bit better, I'd like it more in a game that I think they're live in here. This is one of those, when you get a later season game, what are you looking for? Some variance, new quarterback, maybe just has a disastrous effort here. So BYU would be kind of a money line round robin look for me as well.
Speaking of that, I'm going to jump down, cover it 5 in the comments. Dog round robin. Are we ready to go with that right now?
Joey K might have dropped the ball this week and didn't actually begin. I wasn't able to connect with the sports cheetah. So I know I promised it. I'm going to take the L here for that one because I was not able to. I mentioned we talked to him earlier in the week, and then we never circled back with it. So that's on me, and we will do better going forward.
I'll give you a couple that are live. Pittsburgh's live. If you're looking for variance, backup quarterback, get situational spot of the week, in my opinion, catching Louisville off the Notre Dame game. I think they upgraded probably a quarterback. How could it be any worse than Jerkovic? That'd be one. Obviously, I like SC outright against Notre Dame. Would be one. Just gave you one. Kansas State beats Texas Tech. So there's three. Nothing big, but yeah, I'd also keep an eye on these MAC dogs. Bowling Green, I like BG quite a bit. Some of the other MAC dogs are getting money. I think, with a wet football and stuff like that, there could be some variance in some of those games. Western Michigan is a sneaky dog. Kent State took some money, believe it or not. I know nobody wants to hear that. But I agree with it. Akron, I think.
Did. And I'll tell you what. I did it again. I said I wasn't going to do it again. I did it again. I bet Kent State. I think they're live in this game. I agree with you. That one, if you're going to do a money line round robin, that is probably my favorite game that's over a touchdown. Can't believe I'm saying that. And that for how disgusted I am with Kent State for most of the season. But I'm back to the well. I don't think Eastern Michigan should be laying over a touchdown.
Agree, especially with that total coming down as low as it has. So we did start to see. I was telling somebody, I was like, wow, these totals are pretty suppressed. I don't know if I want to be laying double digits in these MAC games with totals coming down 10 points. You gotta suppress the favorite a little bit there. And I guess someone else agreed with me there. Tom McPeak, speaking of agreeing with us, picked up some JJ McCarthy 35-1 because of the show. Ewers 50-1 on a large legal. I'm not Ewers. I got a preseason bet on Ewers.
Me too.
I don't know.
I think he's toast.
Yeah, I think that they're really
not
hurt.
With that loss, they'd obviously have to run the table. Plus, his overall stat package it's not anywhere on the level of some of the other guys who are in contention. So
how many high profile games other than the Big 12 championship does he have?
Great call there too. That they're basically expected to run the table. So I don't know if that gives them any type of advantage. I think, that was one I like. If obviously if they won last week, he's very live. He didn't. So I think he's pretty cooked.
And I know he played well in the second half, but he didn't come to play in the first quarter and a half of that game. He's part of the reason why they lost, I thought, or at least got down early. Oof. Cam Kelly in the chat. North Carolina 2.5 now. A lot. If there was one play where the Sharps are lining up this week, I've seen it from 4 people I respect now. Yeah. It's on Miami. It means that I have a North Carolina ticket, means it's dead. So I can just rip that up, throw it away.
If you just ignore the last, if you can take last week out of your mind and just look at the rest of the season, you would never have North Carolina laying more than a field goal against Miami here. Even if that last play, if they just take the knee, this wouldn't be. So I think that's a lot of the thought process there. I've seen a lot of people reference this week the last time Cristobal did this, which is hilarious. It's already happened again. They came back and beat a ranked Cal team the next week. Again,
what do you think? All your buddies are on it. I'm
not as bullish on it. I'll be honest.
I agree.
I can't. And part of it is, listen, I've talked about on the show this year, the team that I've been dead wrong more than any other team this year is North Carolina. I thought they'd be, a 6-6 type team. Didn't believe in the defense getting back. The offense has looked way better since they got rid of Phil Longo. So, listen, I'm not, especially not there now that it's at 2.5.
Let's throw away the last minute of the game because I rewatched the game. I'm actually concerned about what I saw in the first 59 minutes of the game, that it had to come down to something like that. They didn't get much push up front against Georgia Tech. Tyler Van Dyke was horrific, man. 3 picks. And they weren't like, tip passes, fluke plays, pressure in his face or something. No, just horrific decisions. So I'm not as bullish on Miami as everyone else seems to be. We'll see. That's a good data point for both of those teams because I think both are stepping up in class. North Carolina hasn't faced an offense like this, and we'll see Miami. I like their defense quite a bit, but I don't know if they faced. I guess they have a little bit, but A&M offense had success. It wasn't the reason they beat A&M was A&M's defense and pass game let them down. So we'll see. Interesting game. Pass right now for me. Jordan in the chat. Marshawn Lloyd over at 73.5 rushing yards. I mean, I could see that. I mean, it's tough getting that kind of. I mean, Notre Dame's run defense is giving up some yardage the last couple weeks. If there is weather, probably a little bit more run game for USC than pass game. So I'd lean over. What say you and your fantasy buddies?
Yeah, I can't get to
Nope.
73.5 there. It's a bit rich for me. They kind of tend to rotate in a lot of backs. I think here's another one. I think this is the first game. Now they used it a little bit last week when they were in trouble against Arizona. I think this is the first high leverage game you'll see more Caleb Williams design runs and stuff.
Stat? What's his rush yards at? I'd like to know that.
That is a good question. I got to see the Caleb. We got Zachy Phillips.
Yeah, look at him go.
Yeah,
over there. The
problem
I like
over there. I think, and again, a game where I think you'll see more rushing than usual, and Caleb Williams being more involved in the game. You saw, and again, in OT last week versus Stanford, what was their go-to play in the 2-point? Caleb Williams run. This is good, especially if it's going to be a little harder to throw. I think you'll see more of the Williams busted out here in these high leverage games. So I like the over there.
All right, we'll best bet it because I agree. And I'm rewatching the Notre Dame USC game from last year. I mean, he's running around. I mean, the Notre Dame defense linemen look like they're pulling sleds. So over. Let's go ahead and do that one for a prop. Let's keep it going. Patrick Burns in the chat. Hit the books needed a Friday the 13th to turn around the variance. Big Saturday coming for the show. Let's hope. We've said that the last couple of weeks, though. I hate this week's card. Hate it.
There it is. That's what we needed. Hate the portfolio this week.
Yeah, it sucks. William in the chat, while you guys have a minute, help these guys out and smash that like button.
Thank you.
You can do that again. Thank you for doing that earlier. Mickey in the chat, Florida, South Carolina, over worth a look. I haven't got to the window side or total on this game, and I haven't seen much movement in the market. A little bit under money, I think, showed 24, 36 hours ago. But have you bet this game yet?
No, and as you said, I don't know a lot of people talk to in the week. I don't know a single person that has a position in this game at the moment, and neither do I. It'd be a small lean on South Carolina to me, but overall, it's just not one that I was expecting. You know, it's kind of traded in that 2.5. Like you game like South Carolina pick Florida +3 in that range, total about right at 50-51. So it's just not something where I kind of thought the numbers were right, and I haven't seen anybody involved in the market in it.
You know who has a really bad position in this game? The losing head coach. Oof. I mean, this is a very important game for both. More important for Napier, in my opinion. But Beamer can ill afford to drop to 2-4 as well. So, a lot of pressure there in that one. Christopher in the chat. What about Pitt covering 7.5 after Louisville's big win last week? Watch the Monday show. You got 8 with Pitt. Best bet was Pittsburgh. Just it's one of those games, man, where it's almost you got to bet it because if you don't bet it and Pitt wins, you're just gonna be like, oh my god, obviously, it's just one of those situational spots. Pitt's off a bye, quarterback change. Louisville, I don't think is that good to begin with. Off the big win, got to bet it.
You mentioned it as too in terms of what we just talked about with the TCU BYU game with the quarterback change in terms of negative variance. Yeah, I think you have that opportunity here for Pittsburgh for a positive variant. It would be very hard to play worse than Jerkovich was playing this season. I don't know what happened to the guy because he had some decent years at Boston College, but he was miserable this season. So bad that he's not even on the depth chart anymore at quarterback. So I think there's only one way to go it up in terms of Pittsburgh quarterback performance. So yeah, I agree with that one.
John in the chat here, Auburn +11.5. I'd lean that way. Although we saw a little bit of LSU money show up today. It got down to 10. I think there was a little market maneuverability there. But that's the only way I'd go. And again, LSU's faced how many close games in a row? Arkansas, Ole Miss, Missouri. And now they're taking on an Auburn team fresh off a bye. And I think Hugh Freeze out, Coach Kelly. What say you?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's as you said, horrible spot for LSU here. And I know it's LSU at night, which is always, a very, very tough place to play. But a game that you can only get up for so many big ones in a row. Their injuries on defense have stacked up. Hopefully Peyton Thorne or whoever they're playing at quarterback actually hits some of the shot plays that they scheme up and they just can't complete because they don't have accuracy at quarterback. But yeah, I like Auburn there. I would expect some money to come in on Auburn at some point.
Interesting. Thank you for that. Best bet, Auburn?
I'm good at 11.5. Yeah, this is one. I know some people that were on the under too. I know LSU. Everyone's like LSU overs. They're all free. This is another one that I think kind of like the under here in terms of a spot where Auburn's defense.
You like the under or the dog more?
I think I like the dog more than the total. LSU can always get a little bit out, but I like I think the Auburn side's okay here.
I think it's okay as well. Auburn it is. Best bet. Auburn Tigers. Love it. RW fan in the chat, what should the spread be for Sam Houston FIU next week? And Sam Houston? Well, Sam Houston's going to be favored.
Our FIU win total still, that's probably the decider next week. If FIU loses there, I don't think they're getting another one.
No. Sam Houston's favored by at least 3. I'll put it that way. Maybe more. So very intriguing game there. Fresno State, Utah State tonight from Mississippi Kid. I didn't really bet this game on as far as the side. Did you play some Utah State early in the week?
Yeah, played some Utah State. I think they're going to win. So that's a hot take there. That's one of the ones, money line round robin. I really do not like the backup for Fresno in terms of quarterback. So I know Mikey Keene out of this one. His name is escaping me, but he came in terms of a little bit for Haener when Haener was injured. Miserable. So I don't know. Maybe listen. It was a while ago. It was some short time. Could have been improved. I don't see it. Think Utah State here. And again, I talked last week that I thought Fresno's body of work was extremely fraudulent. And I think they got a little bit exposed in Laramie, and another tough back-to-back here in Logan, my heart of hearts. So give me. I'm on the Aggies on this one, and I think
plus 5.5 best bet, or you need a little bit more.
It's where are you at? I obviously played higher than this, but think they're
fair. For 6, it would be.
I will. You want to talk Stanford? Now on the Monday show. The Dion got us this one because I did not think Travis Hunter had any chance to play. And then, I don't know, the guy, they got some, holy water on him or something, and now he's back. So obviously that hurts the Stanford position. I think Ashton Daniels good to go. Have you seen? I've been trying to find information.
I think he's good to go.
I think he's good to go. There's a few shops that have actually, not many, but a few that have gone to 13.5. I'll be honest with you. Joey K is going to double down on this one before post. So I have got some Stanford. Obviously, we've got some negative CLV there for Monday. I'm going right back to the well, especially if I see a 14 and even at 13.5. So I'll be taking a little more of this one before post. And if Coach Prime gets me, he gets me. But 2 touchdowns, Colorado. Is Travis Hunter going to come back and play 150 snaps after this?
Probably not.
Maybe,
no.
But I think he'd be more likely to be on a snap count. I
can't believe he's coming back. They're on a bye next week.
I mean, either. I don't know. So I don't. Is this? I'm so shocked that he's again. It is what it is. But I'll be adding a little bit more tree for my Friday.
There you go. That was from the Monday show. Best bet Stanford. Steve in the chat, Brad, talk to me about BG. I get Buffalo stinks, but Buffalo's been getting some defensive havoc. Can't say the same for BG. They got some havoc against Georgia Tech. They had a pick 6. One outright as a 3-touchdown underdog. They got some havoc BG did against your boy JJ. They picked him off 3 times. Has he thrown a pick other than that game against BG? I don't think so.
No, that you remember right on that. That was one of the most oddball. I was as frustrated as I've seen him in 2 years as Michigan quarterback is what BG did to him in terms of defense. So, and the market loves themselves some BG, especially
the
over
last 3 weeks they have.
Month.
I love BG this week. I think Buffalo's a fraud. So,
yeah, it would be again. I know it's the one that's taking money, but BG or nothing for me still.
Yeah, and then I will say. I mean, there's some variance with BG. You don't believe me? Look at their final scores the last 4 or 5 weeks. But I'm going to keep it simple. statistically, just simple metrics, yards per game margin, yards per play margin. BG's better than Buffalo despite playing a much tougher schedule. That's why we like BG. Connor in the chat, Liberty -5.5 was a free. Thank you, Uncle K. Yep, good job. You got a nice one there over me and the bookies there. Arizona +8. Connor in the chat. I think they're the right side, provided that they still have the energy, because they've given some hellacious efforts the last 2 weeks against Washington and USC. That would be my only concern on that one. But
are they going back to Delora too?
I hope not. No. That's
I seen a report that he was, back practicing, so I'm not sure, and that he was considering it. So yeah, this is one I've stayed away from. If the spot was a little better, I'd probably back Arizona here, but it's not. And so that's kind of kept me off it. And Wazoo they've kind of been that team that's play, when they've up against a tougher defensive team, they've struggled in that. When they've gone against some of the light defenses, they're able to really run it up. And I'd put Arizona on the run it up side of things. So I stayed away from Arizona this week.
Ron in the chat, do we keep the train rolling, fading Coach Candle and Toledo, Ball State +17.5? What do you say? Money likes Toledo here.
I know. I honestly, I was very close to 17. And then I saw today some, buying through 17 and thought, wait, maybe give me an 18.
What are we doing?
I like Ball State here.
I
don't have a lot of great, I just think the Toledo, again, this is a Toledo very Fresno-ish in their body of work, which I don't think is very impressive. So I could maybe call me crazy here, but I could see Ball State being competitive in this game. So yeah, I like it over 17, and if an 18 shows, even better.
Best bet 17.
Yeah. I mean, if you're like, I
do. I like it.
I like it too. So yeah, 17.
Weather could be a factor. We'll have to play. I mean, again, the totals come down. Ball State for me. Best bet. Love it. We got another Mac one on there. Andrew Cooley in the chat. Thoughts on Michigan, Indiana? Michigan starting to blow teams out after not running up in high spread games early. I'm not there this week, and I've been Mr. Michigan the last couple of weeks. Last week. Nah, the weather might be too much to cover that kind of number. What say you? Indiana's defense is okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a big delta between what you were laying on with Nebraska and Minnesota, games that are in the teens, high teens, versus now having to cover 5 touchdowns of margin. Numbers come down, weather a concern. Indiana also, fired Walt Belt, could come out with a new look. I don't, some of the variants there of what they look like on offense off of a bye. Defense is really good at eliminating explosives, and Michigan hasn't really hit a ton of explosives on the year. They've been kind of grinding teams down. I'll be honest, I have a little regret that I didn't get involved at 35, but I'm not going to chase it here. With that said, I'd probably only play Indiana. Maybe they could surprise Michigan's defense with a couple of the new whatever they're going to do on offense now without Walt Bell. So, this would be a hold your nose and play the Hoosiers for me.
35 is definitely a buy. It'll be interesting where the line moves in this one. Rick in the chat, lots of bad weather this weekend, every game under. The market thing. So I'm not there. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna tell you my game plan. I'm gonna wake up at 4 a.m. tomorrow. I'm gonna look at the Doppler radar. I'll look at each individual game win total, and I'll see if this stuff's been overbet. Because my thought process is a lot of this has been overbet, and just people bet this stuff like they know the weather like 7 days in advance. I don't get it, man. I get getting out in front of it, but they just continue to pound this stuff left and right. Where are you at on some of these?
Yeah, no, I mean, usually like the stuff is moving so early in terms of like right when totals are coming out that it's early for me to get involved and get a decent position. So kind of in the realm of your neck of the woods of just seeing, identifying which games on Friday night might not be as bad as when, they were thinking early in the week. And I think we've got a couple of those. So also stylistically, I think that, plays a key factor in that in terms of like what kind of tempo is it going to be, is the passing teams in that. So, if you look at it case by case, I think you can find some that when people are just early week blanket betting the unders because they know they're going to get in good, you got to watch it because then some of those people are going to trade off later in the week. So, yeah, I think that's the way to play it.
We did see a little bit of trade off. I saw some overs getting a little bit hit today. So we'll see. Austin in the chat, Chase McClellan for Alabama, over 73.5 rushing yards. Boy, I could see that a little bit, especially after what they have against A&M, like 23 rushing yards as a team.
Yeah.
I could see them going ground and pound this week. What's your boy? Did franchise get involved on this one?
The only one we've got in this one to the moment was and we've gotten burned backing him a few, but the Jefferson over passing yardage, which I think now his numbers kind of hit the bottom. It was in like the 180s, the KJ Jefferson total, like 185, 187 there. In a game that I don't think they're going to be able to run it much on Bama's front. Probably a game where he gets more attempts than normal. So win over in terms of the Jefferson. Again, not a lock, not a banger, but just one that don't think Arkansas is really going to be able to run it too much here, and he probably gets more usage in terms of his attempts than kind of what you would kind of a normal Arkansas game. So,
all right, interesting thoughts there. Connor in the chat, just arrived in Knoxville for tomorrow's game against A&M. We still riding with the Vols -3. I am, but I'm guessing Knish is not. You like A&M?
No, I'm still with you on the Vol side there. I know some other people have some short people have played the Texas A&M. I'm not. I'm kind of bullish on Tennessee getting right a little later in the midseason. I know the explosive shot plays, key part of their offense, hasn't been there in a lot of games, but
I think there'll be opportunities. Whether
I agree.
Hit them or not,
I think this getting the offensive line right, allow them to run it a little bit more, should open up some opportunities against what I think is probably the worst secondary, maybe outside of Andy, the worst secondary in the SEC and A&M. I'm still with you on the Vols here. I don't. I would have loved that 2.5 that showed earlier. I would have said,
fair enough.
I said there were some 2.5s that flickered there during an earlier release that are no longer around. So, yeah, that was the buy point for me. But I'd still lean that way at 3.
Full disclosure for those watching, the old BP Tout service gave out Tennessee -3. So if you believe in the BP Tout service, there you go. Greg in the chat, Iowa +10, windy and rainy. No, we're on the Wisconsin side in that one. We talked that one earlier. Wisconsin for us there. Steve A in the chat, Maryland 13.5, and thoughts on Air Force Wyoming. I'm not there on Maryland, even though Illinois hasn't covered a point spread this year. I thought you saw that. I mean, for that Illinois game to go right through 14 from 14.5 to 13.5, I think kind of tells you something there. Air Force Wyoming, I'm more on the Air Force side. What say you in those two games?
Yeah, you know what? To be honest, I was kind of looking shopping. I'll have a small play in Illinois, especially if I think the board's mostly paying at 13.5. If I can get a decent price 14 at some point in the next 24 hours, probably going to be a small play for me.
Campy's got it -115.
I might be down at one of those places that has that price at some point. So, in terms of Air Force Wyoming, very classic. I know a lot of the sharp modeling guys I know have it higher. We talked about it Monday. The people who are more, get in the weeds, capping the matchups and stuff. Wyoming has always done a nice job against this Air Force triple option. It's the same coaching staff, the same style. So, I don't really have. Listen. I'll just be blunt. I middled this game. I took some Air Force early. I bought back some Wyoming later. That's the only way I play it. Hopefully, it lands in this one because I didn't really want to have a massive opinion on this game because people I respect are on both sides of it. So, yeah, that's how I decided to play it.
I've been wrong about every Wyoming game this year. So, that might mean Wyoming outright win because I bet Air Force. David Shaw in the chat, looking for UMass +41.5. It sounds great because Ohio State's on deck and whatnot, but my problem is James Franklin knows the point spread, man. And we have several data points, even this year, where he's looking to cover late in the game. Have you bet this one?
No, I obviously regret. I know we had discussed the total on Monday a bit, and I liked under there. And now it's kind of come down a bit. I mean, I don't know if this UMass offense can do it against Penn State. I know they've had some impressive outputs against very peasant level opponents. Can they get to 10-14 in this game? I don't know. It's one that I probably would have with the weather and the total coming down, kind of regret not playing when it was over 42. But now I agree. I'm out on where it's at the moment.
Steve in the chat, what do we know about this Penn State transfer quarterback taking over for Pitt this week? I watched the spring game. I didn't see much difference then. I think they ended up going with Djokovic just because he's the hot name transfer. I upgraded Pitt's power rating with the quarterback change. Not significantly, but half point upgrade. That's how bad Djokovic was.
I agree. Like Djokovic had just been playing at such like we'll call it the Jeff Sims, where like the guy's seems like he's broken mentally, and you have to throw out what he's done in the past because he's playing at such a poor level that it's almost like you can't downgrade him bad enough. So I can't see how it's not at least a moderate improvement.
John, stuff in the chat. We'll get to a few more here, and then we'll sign off, guys, and we'll recap the best bets that we've given out. Florida State over 36.5. Even though I think Florida State's the right side, I'm not running the window to bet that. What say you?
Yeah, I need a little bit, a little bit lower from me. I didn't touch it there. I know some unders taking obviously money today. If you could get, it's not going to get to 35. So it's just in a no play zone for me.
William in the chat, Cal versus Utah. Utah minus 11. I lean Cal here. Quarterback looked the part last week. That Mendoza kid can't lay that kind of number with Utah. What say you?
Yep. Totally with you. I know, and this got hit down earlier in the week. Joined some of that money. Still kind of like it at 11. I know Utah is the place where new quarterbacks go to die. So that would be my one concern is, Mendoza goes to Utah and he completely, is in shambles because apparently once you cross the state lines at Utah, nobody can play quarterback anymore. But I think it's too many points for a Utah team that very tough to get margin. And I don't think somebody had asked us earlier in the chat. We had talked about, I don't think Rising's going to play this year. So I think he's at the point now where they are who they are at quarterback, which is a very below average passing offense. And Cal, I know, hey, listen, you were on point, starting the year with Cal's offense is just a lot better than it's been, for the best part, for I don't know, since since took over. So I like Cal there at 11 or better.
DJ, you had to play that well because otherwise that's a down to the wire, really a nip and tuck game. Oregon State against Cal last week had to hit a bunch of like fourth downs and stuff, high leverage plays to get that. So yeah, I agree with the money there on Cal. Chuck C in the chat, San Jose State, a play below a touchdown. Yeah, it'd be my buy price, 6.5. You respect the market, a lot of money on New Mexico, but man, I got to play power ratings. Play it at 6.5 for me there.
Same target, same exact thought process. Was waiting if it got under a TD, would have a moderate play on San Jose State there.
Eat that in the chat. Thoughts on Miami, Ohio covering 8.5 against Western Michigan. I kind of sneakily like Western Michigan. The only thing that I'm concerned with is look at their schedule and who they played. I mean, Syracuse, Mississippi State, Toledo. But they played some of the better teams. One of the tougher schedules in the MAC. I just wonder how much energy they got. But suppressed scoring with maybe some weather. I'm not sure I want to lay more than a touchdown with Miami, Ohio. Have you bet this one yet?
No. It was kind of one that I agree. Western's level of play has been much higher than I thought it would be. But again, Spot says kind of Miami, Ohio. I think they're significantly better team, but factor in the weather thing again. So one that I stayed away from. As BYU just got blasted there on screen. So
BYU did.
Yeah, if you were looking at that BYU, the potential 7 we were talking about earlier, not showing. So this one's down to 4.5, 5 everywhere. So and if you're at MGM or you got to bet MGM, grab your 6 because that's as good as it's getting.
There you go. Tyler Simonson in the chat. Thoughts on Duke, North Carolina State on the total? I mean, it's gotten hit all week. I can't bet it now, but obviously 2 backup quarterbacks in this one. I could only look towards the under, but you're not getting a high value pick now at the current number.
Yeah, agreed. Again, this could be an absolute grinder here. I kind of lean, is this one? What would you have made it with 100% Riley Leonard? Do you have that handy or do you know offhand? I had this discussion this week with a few guys.
I'd be over a touchdown.
Yeah, that's what, because I had some people that said they were more around 10. I thought
I'd be closer to, and I honestly would be closer to 10 than 7.
Yeah, so, and I always think, 7.5 in there. So, I mean, not that there's 9.5, 7.5 is a massive difference, but so it kind of was like, how much are we baking in here from the downgrade from Leonard, who was obviously Duke's best player? Just tough to know. Just when we don't have a lot of great data on the backup or how the offense is going to function. And I'll take a lap here. And Mr. Morris, Mr. MJ Morris against Marshall looked the part there. So.
Oh, he looked apart for both teams. They had a bunch of explosives, but for both teams,
he did get the turnovers out of the way early. I kind of like NC State here, getting over a field goal. So and again, it's a massive downgrade. I know, and again, if the backup's better than we expected, then the number's not going to have value. But I just think Leonard was so key to their offense that they could really struggle here. And you've kind of got Morris giving NC State some more pop. So yeah, that would be the only way I'd lean in that one. I agree with you on the total too. It's gotten all sucked out of it.
Yeah, Canby books plus 3.5 there. Kentucky minus 2.5. Where are you at on this one? Just a few more here and we'll sign off. I lean Kentucky, but not a big value bet for me.
I bought some cheap Kentucky money line, nothing crazy, but there was some minus 130 around. Depending on where you shop, there's still around that price, so that was a small play for me.
Troy Army, a lot of money on the under. Could be some weather here. I think Troy and the under are the right sides. Do you agree with that? That's from Rich.
Yeah, a little inverse correlation here where the under's coming down, but Troy kind of keeps steaming up. I wouldn't. Again, this is one that now that it's 6.
Wow, I didn't know it got up to 6.
Yeah, it got hit pretty good. I obviously couldn't touch it anymore. Army broke our hearts last week. But to be honest with you, if it got up to 7, that's what I need to back Army. I'd probably be looking to buy there. Outside of that, I don't have anything in this game.
William in the chat, UAB live at UTSA. The Fighting Dilfers have been getting to the window lately. I'm not there. Are you on this? I saw some buyback at 10 earlier.
I can't put my finger on this UAB season to save my life because I really thought that it was going to – it's like the trend down after they lost the few – it went the exact opposite way where they started playing competitive games versus much better opponents. UTSA, I can't get there with that. It would be UAB or nothing for me. I did not play it, though.
A lot of money on the over. I kind of could see that as well.
Yeah.
Don in the chat, do you guys like Colorado State plus 10 against Boise State? I'm not there. You know what? I rewatched the Boise State game. They just had 3 early turnovers that really benefited San Jose State. Once they settled into that game, they were clearly superior. I don't mind that. Look, both a lot of times the 2 quarterback system doesn't work. It's doing okay at Boise. When both guys get in there, they're both productive. What say you there?
Yeah.
Where's he seeing 10? I'm not looking at Don Best right now. Where's 10 at?
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't see the 10 either. I was looking at, but I know some sharp people that were buying the Boise touchdown. If it got to 10, I'm sure you'd have Colorado State buyers. I think it's an all right range, kind of where it's at now. And I agree that they've been making that 2 quarterback system, which again I'm not a huge fan of, but making it work for now. And Colorado State's defense is not great. So I didn't see on the receiver an update on holding the receiver. I was looking for it now, but I haven't seen it.
I've not seen that either. Ooh, that was a rough look for them in the final 3 quarters last week against Utah State. Out 17-0 and get blown out. Ooh,
yeah,
that's not good. Chuck C in the chat. Nishi props got anything good this weekend? We gave you Caleb Williams over rush yards. You got any other ones?
You know what? We went and again, I didn't have there were some ones that got beat up pretty good. I actually, for the Michigan game, if you can find a Donovan Edwards rushing under, depending on where the number is, they've been giving Khalil Mullings as their running back 3. He's been playing incredible. If you got 39.5 there, a little bit lower. You've got Corum taking a lot of the carries. They seem to be kind of using Edwards now more in this a little bit more of a passing mode, giving Mullings more carries. this is one where and he just hasn't looked right. They had one game, they fed him a ton of work to see if they could get him right. Hasn't been super right for me. So again, not one of my favorites we've had on the show, but Edwards under. I think he's kind of lost a lot of his carry share to Mullings, and Corum still being the workhorse back there, as they kind of have Edwards doing a little bit different type of role now, and he just I mean, he's averaged at like 3-something yards a carry. He just hasn't been right this year. So and now he's kind of losing a little bit of his carry share to Mullings. So yeah, I played under there small. If you got high 30s, that's okay. So wish I didn't have a lot of the stuff that I was looking kind of moved before we got on. So
fair enough. And we're not going to force anything. Jason in the chat, back to the well on Temple +6. North Texas defense can't stop my wife from leaving me. Oof. I think Temple was the right side.
It got. Yeah. I think Temple was the right side there. I think there's another money line round robin game. Loved it over at TD. Sucks that now it was one that steamed real early. Temple obviously was a crusher last week, but I think they're going to win this game. So yeah, I'd still play. Obviously, we played a little better. I still think 6.5 is okay.
Michael in the chat, what about Bowers for Heisman? Worth a shot? Probably not at current market. What say you? I know a lot of guys, including myself, are wishing and hoping that he wins.
Yeah,
he's not. Though.
And again, he's on a great stretch. There's just too many elite quarterbacks in the fold. If it was one of those years where the Devonta Smith year where you only had a couple of guys in the mix, the problem is you got Caleb, you got Penix, you got Dylan Gabriel, you got Bo Nix, you got JJ, you got so many guys that a couple others that I didn't even mention that would for them to give it to a tight end. So much is going to have to happen, even if he still crushes it every week, that I don't see it. And what's a marquee game that Georgia plays before the SEC title game? So
Tennessee, maybe.
Yeah, but
that's it.
It's just not the year. In another year where there wasn't so many great quarterbacks, sure, just not this year.
Brian got in late celebrating my 40th. So if you talked about it, I apologize. But what about Iowa getting 9.5? First off, happy birthday to you, Brian. I'm right there with you. Yeah. I'm not with you on Iowa, though, getting 9.5. I know it's a low total. A lot of people are loving Iowa with that low total. I'm not there. I like Wisconsin. We talked about that earlier.
We talked it, and it seems to be a popular one where it's like, oh, the total's 33. How can you not take the points? I hear you. I don't see Wisconsin's run defense has been good. You look at some of the breakdown last week with Deacon Smith. He was like does he have a blindfold on throwing these passes? I know they hit like an explosive with him, but I don't know how Iowa moves the ball at all. I trust Wisconsin to move it at least a bit. Any type of turnover or something in that, and Iowa is cooked. So I'll be honest here. I think Wisconsin wins by multiple scores. And I could see them winning 21-24. Listen, like a 31-3 type of game. So I don't want to talk. People seem to love Iowa this week, though, but not us.
Yeah, they do. I'm not one of them. Lion on the chat, these three: Arizona +7.5, Kentucky -2.5, UAB +10. We hit all three. We're not wild about any of these. Arizona's not a great spot. Kentucky probably lean that way. UAB probably, if you're getting 10 off market,
if you got a flat 10,
yeah.
Sure, but it doesn't seem like many of those are. If you got, a Mississippi PPH, Mr. Brown, around there giving you 10, then sure, grab that.
Agreed with the 14.5 and 14's getting taken out backing Illinois. Yeah, I'm part of that.
Yep.
Even though they haven't covered a number, I kind of like that. Jim in the chat, San Diego State, Hawaii, bailout game.
Oh, we might.
Well, we already did. If you watched the Monday show, San Diego State for me. You like Hawaii? I'm taking it.
I was in at a touchdown and then it got bought back a little bit. But I'll tell you, I'll probably play some Hawaii. I see what you're saying in two teams that have gone in very different directions as far as the season has plays out. I don't know. Joey K's got a little feeling at the luau that this is more competitive. But I don't have much to back that. At 7, I'd be in. I haven't bet it yet, though.
Steve in the chat, I know you like that FAU over. How are they getting north of 59 here? It's easy. They're not playing Clemson's defense, Illinois' defense, Ohio's defense. They're not playing in a monsoon last week. That's how they're getting over there, in my opinion. And we've seen South Florida's not playing Alabama's defense. They're playing a conference game, and their last 2 conference games, South Florida, 44-30, 56-35, over for me. Love that total. And then 2 teams, obviously, that both run a ton of tempo, top 15 in terms of tempo in the country. That's going to do it. Let's recap the best bets here.
I will say, before
you got another one?
Riley Leonard potential game time decision. If this was going to be I'll give it here, the Joey props. If Leonard goes, rushing yards under. Play whatever, like anything. It was like in the third. He's usually a guy. The number's going to be inflated because he runs all the time when he's healthy. If you, I'll tell you right now, just hey, listen, bet it.
Just give this out. If he doesn't play it, to know that
there's no downside. If maybe he gets in for some snaps or he doesn't start, take the under 40. If he doesn't, there's no downside here. Because I tell you, the guy that I saw at the end of that the game where is a guy that looked like he couldn't move. So if he ends up playing, I think he's going to take a bunch of sacks. I don't think he's going to run as much as normal. So yeah, that one.
That's a 10-star game of the year.
Yeah, that is. If you got some access to 40s and he gets in the game or he starts, that is the Joey prop play of the year.
Love it. Put that one down, Zach. If he doesn't play, obviously it's just cancel. No bet. You have to put that one in. Love it. Let's get to our other best bets that we've given out so far. Stanford tonight. A little bit of money market against us. I'm still comfortable with it. Knish, you heard him say he's going to double down. Prop play, Edwards under, not getting as many touches with Mullings. Ball State, plug your nose, plus 17.5. Like it, especially if there's some weather there. Washington's one that's taking some money. I'm shocked it went to 3.5. Yeah, we got some good. We took the money line there. Got some CLV. Pitt plus 8, great spot. Kansas State was today's show plus 1.5. Buy low for them off the upset loss. Auburn plus 11.5. Like that also is a situational play. Caleb Williams running around against that slow white Notre Dame front. Caleb Williams over 22.5 rush yards there, and a big fight on USC win. Riley Leonard's the play of the century. Honestly, I totally agree. San Diego State's me. So if San Diego State loses, blame me, not Knish. He doesn't like it. He says I suck. And my 5-3 early release record, he says you suck. So you got anything to add?
No, I think, hey, that was a good one. Appreciate it, man. Sorry we had to go on a little 15 minutes late here, but hey, the views and likes were good, and hate the portfolio this week. Hate it. No damn good. So we'll see what we get into here.
All right. For Mr. Joey Knish, for producer extraordinaire Zach Phillips. Guys, I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure if you want all the show updates, make sure you're following at Hit the Books HQ and at the Hammer HQ on Twitter and X. That'll do it here for the show on Friday. Hit the Books. You've just been watching it here on the Hammer Betting Network.